This guy, he's regarded though, because I'm just going to say it, if this battle happens, Jake Paul's going to die in there. I can't believe we're even talking about it. And hold on, this is literally the first time I've heard you admit anything like this. I know my limitations, but Jake Paul is apparently feeling the heat as Anthony Joshua launches horrific training sessions ahead of his upcoming bout. The YouTuber turned boxer can't disguise his nerves watching AJ's raw strength and relentless preparation. The rumors have been swirling around for weeks now, but they've burst into full-blown speculation. Could Jake Paul actually fight Anthony Joshua? Jake Paul's manager was here last week, and he's openly stating that the fight is conceivable. And when pressed for updates, Eddie Hearn's response is almost strange. Lots. I mean, this crazy world that we live in. I think Jake Paul is undoubtedly the front-runner to fight Anthony Joshua next. I'm here in New York for meetings concerning that fight. There's an open interaction between myself and Nisa, an MVP. I don't know what to tell you, Bridgie, except that it's mental. I can't sit here and tell you this is a 50-by-50 matchup. The whole thing is strange. I think it's highly risky for Jake Paul. The overall attitude from the boxing world is, please, Jay, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing scene so we can all get on as normal. Some Jake Paul fans, nevertheless, oddly believe he can beat Anthony Joshua. And maybe the most weird thing out of all of this, Jake Paul actually believes it himself. Eddie Hearn has branded Paul a major front-runner for the fight and adds that real conversations are ongoing, with both sides eyeing early 2026 as the likely date. Anthony Joshua, a seasoned heavyweight champion, has demonstrated over and over again that he's dedicated about his craft. His training camps are legendary strength and conditioning that push the limits, sparring with elite opponents, and a mental preparation routine that's as precise as his physical work. When asked where AJ stands for him personally, one voice says almost in awe, "Firstly, I think he's an icon. If I ever met AJ, I'd be starstruck. I recall being in New York City with my cousin Stag in 2017 when he beat Klitschko. The bar erupted. It was great. That was peak AJ. History will be kind to AJ, I suppose, as long as he doesn't lose a couple more major ones. People have microwave memories now. They just recall the now. He's nowhere near Lennox Lewis, but in terms of what he carried, nobody sells an arena like AJ. He's up there with rock titans like Oasis when it comes to ticket sales. There was a period when I thought he could fight me and fill a stadium. Nobody else has that presence, not Daniel Dubois, not anyone. Joshua's willingness to face top-tier opponents is unquestionable. He got into the ring with Alexander Usyk, a former undisputed cruiserweight champion and one of the most technically talented heavyweights in the world. In their first match in September 2021, Usyk outpointed Joshua with precision and superior technique, gaining a unanimous decision. Joshua acknowledged the loss affected him hard. Once the belts were finally out of my possession, which I was expecting to win, it kind of tore me apart. That's raw emotion live on your screen. Looking back, could I have dealt with it better? Yeah, of course, but at the moment, it wasn't the priority. It was just an outpour of emotion. I've seen other athletes in gymnastics, cricket, rugby, football take time away for their mental health. I thought, okay, if they've done it, maybe I should, but then I realized if I take time away, I'm letting everyone catch up. I want to be ahead of the game. Jake Paul, for all his media swagger, has exhibited decent athleticism and a terrific work ethic. But his experience is nowhere near to Joshua's. His training has focused mostly on endurance and perfecting basic technique. When asked whether he considers Jake Paul a fighter, one answer is short and blunt. No, still not? Wow. The conversation slips into stories of training, wrestling, old links with Dana White, and memories of sitting cage side. But then it gets back to the primary point of Paul's boxing career is only 3.5 years old. He claims there's just so much he can do. The plan was always to fight Nate Diaz after Tommy Fury, win, lose, or draw. People think there's ducking of professional boxers. The next bout might be a pro boxer. I'm just getting started. I'm 26. There's only so much I can do. But boxing analysts and experts don't get into the Joshua Paul concept. They call it risky. Eddie Hearn himself believes the skill gap is vast. Joshua possesses elite punching power and a long background that makes him a nightmare for Paul. Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua 50-50 fight? I can't say that, one analyst remarks. When AJ renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Ngannou has just defeated Tyson Fury to a close decision. Jake Paul's not Ngannou. If you want to see Jake Paul quit the boxing world, create the fight. Eddie Hearn adds, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who's 135 pounds, and Anthony Joshua, a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is foolish enough to fight AJ because the money would be tremendous. It's a catastrophic mismatch. People would watch because it would be the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that risky. I don't think it should truly happen, but even Hearn believes Paul has earned some respect. He's putting in hard spars, going 10 rounds with a former champion. They pick opponents carefully. They won't gamble unless the money is large. And it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted to go forward with an AJ bout. AJ's not looking at him as a dream opponent, but would he take the money and give him a hiding? Probably. The buzz has left boxing pundits seething. They call it irresponsible, dumb, and a step into the extreme. Analysts warn the disparity isn't simply lousy judgment, it's bordering on irresponsible. Tony Bellew's voice comes through strong. It's absolute lunacy. It's dangerously insane. He's not fighting a grandfather, he's fighting a monster. He could knock him out with his bend. His health is in peril. Money before life, that's what Jake's doing. Bellew's distaste for influencer boxing is well known. He's cautioned that celebrity antics might tarnish the sport's credibility if something goes drastically wrong. Joe Rogan, meanwhile, focuses on AJ's physical gifts. He looks like a superhero. A tank. The conditioning methods today are great. They have stamina, recuperation, heart rate monitoring, everything. Joshua's physique is elite. Frank Smith from Matchroom stirs controversy, stating Joshua versus Paul might be bigger globally than Joshua versus Tyson Fury. I know it's random, but it's the biggest fight out there. On a global scale, it's bigger than Fury Joshua. That's the world we live in right now. But some in the boxing industry push back hard, saying Fury versus Joshua is clearly the bigger, more relevant bout, and that Paul's level is nowhere near world class. It shouldn't even be sanctioned. Paul's at an area level, AJ is an elite heavyweight. It's risky, drags the sport into disrepute. Tom Aspinall from the UFC adds that the biggest draw for fighting Jake Paul is financial, it's the payday. The conversation swings to other bouts, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, which some regard as more business than fighting. It wasn't a fight, it was tap tap, circle the ring, make it look good. Paul's call-outs of smaller boxers like Gervonta Davis frustrate many because of the massive size differential. The idea of Tank Davis versus Jake Paul is criticized as unnecessary and unfair. Instead, supporters are demanding for Paul to fight serious opponents in his own weight class, like a Tommy Fury rematch. Former champion Carl Froch doesn't mince words. I don't take him seriously. He may have a little fight, a swing, but it's hardly professional boxing. He's got poor defense, telegraphs blows. Put him in with someone his own size who's a pro, and it's a mismatch. Tommy Fury is a raw rookie, but even then, Jake couldn't get past him. Rampage Jackson echoed the critique of Paul's opponent selection. He's smart, he picks guys past their prime. I'm not calling him out again, because he wouldn't fight me till I'm too old. Joshua himself has dismissed the suggestion with a laugh, indicating Paul is chasing relevance and big paydays by targeting him. While influencer boxing is popular and attracts younger fans, some in the professional boxing industry feel it's a distraction from true competition. We were involved early. Logan Paul versus KSI, Jake's pro debut numbers were huge. But we decided to focus on pro boxing. Maybe in 10 years we'll look back and believe we should have stayed in it. And thus the question hangs in the air, is Jake Paul biting off more than he can chew? That's up to fans to decide. But if you ask most of boxing's experts, they'll tell you this if it happens. It's not just a fight, it's a deadly gamble where the odds aren't just stacked, they're towering.